Imagine waking up in a world where the United States never existed. No Hollywood movies, no iPhones, no superpower politics, no D-Day, no Cold War, no NASA moon landing. The global economy would look totally different. Who leads the free world? Who fills the power vacuum? Would World War II have ended the same? Would English still dominate? From technology and warfare to pop culture and geopolitics, everything you know might be turned upside down. In this video, we explore a fascinating alternate reality, a world shaped without the influence of the United States of America. Let's dive in. Imagine a world where the United States was never formed. No Declaration of Independence, no rise of a global superpower, just a massive hole in world leadership. The absence of America would create a power vacuum unlike anything we've ever seen. After World War II, it was the US that stepped up to rebuild Europe, shape international institutions, and counter the rise of communism. Without it, who would have led the Western world? Would the United Kingdom, already weakened by 2 world wars, try to hold on to global leadership? Or would the Soviet Union face no real opposition, extending its communist influence far beyond Eastern Europe, maybe even dominating the entire world stage? Without the US, NATO might not exist. The balance of power during the Cold War would be completely altered, or perhaps the Cold War itself wouldn't happen at all. Then, there's China. Without American influence in Asia and no direct competition, could China have risen earlier and faster? Or would colonial empires in Europe have dragged out longer, filling the power void with old systems of control? The global order we know, democracy versus dictatorship, capitalism versus communism, might not evolve the same way. International diplomacy, global security, and even peacekeeping would look completely different. The world without the United States would be a far less stable, or possibly even more chaotic place. One thing's for sure, the absence of the US would completely rewrite the rules of global power. Without the United States, the outcome of both world wars could have been drastically different. Or perhaps the wars themselves might not have unfolded the same way at all. In World War I, the United States joined the Allies in 1917, tipping the balance against the Central Powers. American troops, supplies, and financial support played a crucial role in the final stages of the war. Without the US, the war might have dragged on longer or even ended in a stalemate, possibly forcing a negotiated peace that allowed Germany to retain more power. That alone could have changed the course of the 20th century. Now imagine World War II without America. No Lend-Lease program, no industrial support for the Allies, and no troops storming the beaches of Normandy. Nazi Germany might have overrun Europe, while Imperial Japan could have maintained control over large parts of Asia. The Soviet Union would be left to fight Hitler alone on the Eastern Front, likely suffering even greater losses, or possibly collapsing under the pressure. Most importantly, no US means no Manhattan Project, and no atomic bomb. The world's first nuclear weapon might have been developed by Germany or the USSR. The very foundation of modern warfare and global deterrence would be altered. Without American intervention, the war-torn world could have descended into longer, bloodier conflicts. And with no superpower to lead post-war recovery, the 20th century might have... In a world without the United States, the foundation of today's global economy would likely never exist. The US dollar, which became the world's reserve currency after World War II, plays a central role in international trade, oil pricing, and financial stability. Without the US, the global economy might lack a dominant trusted currency, leading to instability and fractured markets. Institutions like the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank, both of which were heavily shaped by American leadership, may never have formed, or may have taken on very different, less effective roles. The Bretton Woods system that created post-war economic stability across Western nations? Gone. American consumerism also drives global trade. Countries like China, Germany, and Japan built much of their manufacturing strength by exporting goods to the massive US market. Without it, their growth would have been slower or redirected entirely. Then there's Wall Street. As the financial heart of the world, it has shaped everything from global investments to corporate behavior. Without it, Europe or Asia might have developed competing financial centers, but with far less influence and scale. Global capitalism as we know it, driven by innovation, risk-taking, and aggressive markets, might have taken a more conservative or fragmented form. Ultimately, without the economic engine and consumer base of the US, the global economy would likely be slower, smaller, and far less connected. The modern era of globalization could look like a failed experiment rather than a defining feature of our time. You've been defined not by peace, but by prolonged instability. No United States means no Silicon Valley, the birthplace of some of the world's most revolutionary technology. Imagine a world without Apple, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Amazon, or Tesla. These companies didn't just transform the US economy, they reshaped how the entire world communicates, shops, works, and travel. Without America, the internet might have been delayed or developed differently. After all, ARPANET, the early version of the internet, was a US government project. Without it, would another nation have stepped in? Perhaps Europe or Japan. But it's unlikely they would have moved as quickly or boldly. The space race would also look very different. No NASA means no moon landing in 1969. Space exploration might have remained a military project between the Soviet Union and others, with fewer breakthroughs and less public inspiration. Private space ventures like SpaceX or Blue Origin wouldn't exist, delaying Mars missions, satellite internet, and space tourism. Even in everyday life, the absence of US tech companies means no iPhones, no Google Maps, no YouTube, no social media as we know it. Global digital culture would be led by others. Without Silicon Valley's unique mix of risk-taking, funding, and creative freedom, the digital rev now imagine a world without the cultural footprint of the United States. No Hollywood movies, no NBA, no global brands like McDonald's, Coca-Cola, or Nike. That's not just a loss of entertainment and food, it's the absence of a massive cultural engine that has shaped global identity for over a century. Hollywood isn't just a film industry, it's a global storyteller. Without it, the world wouldn't have Star Wars, Marvel, Disney, or countless iconic films that influence fashion, music, language, and even politics. Another country might have taken the spotlight, maybe France, India, or Japan. But would their cinema reach the same global audience? It's hard to say. Then there's sports. The NBA is not just a league, it's a global brand. Players like Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Kobe Bryant became cultural icons far beyond the basketball court. Without American sports leagues, what becomes the world's athletic obsession? Soccer would likely dominate even more, but the diversity of sports culture would shrink. And let's not forget the fast food revolution. No McDonald's, no KFC, no Starbucks. No Golden Arches in 100 countries. These aren't just food chains, they're symbols of Western influence and lifestyle. Without the US, cultural globalization as we know it wouldn't exist. Instead of a shared global culture, we might see a fragmented world where each region stays local, and the idea of worldwide trends barely exists. Evolution could have been slower, more controlled, and far less global. One of the biggest questions in a world without the United States is this: would the world be more peaceful or more chaotic? On one hand, without America's global military presence, there would be fewer foreign interventions. No wars in Iraq or Afghanistan. No US drone strikes. No military bases in over 70 countries. Some argue this might lead to a more peaceful world, one with fewer large-scale conflicts driven by a superpower's strategic interests. But there's a darker possibility. Without the stabilizing force of the US, regional powers could act more aggressively. Countries like Russia, China, or Iran might feel free to expand their influence unchecked. And without America leading peacekeeping missions, offering disaster relief, or enforcing global sanctions, who steps in? The United Nations, often backed by US resources, might be far weaker. The global system of diplomacy could collapse into fractured alliances and unchecked aggression. Then there's nuclear weapons. Without the US leading non-proliferation efforts, more countries might rush to arm themselves. Would we live in a world with 20+ nuclear powers? All paranoid, all trigger-happy? In short, a world without the US might not be more peaceful. It could be more unpredictable, more divided, and far more dangerous. Power would shift, but stability